Now that I'm back in, I'm just very eager to find as many inspiring women as possible to share on this show. So welcome back, everyone. Now, I have been very curious to talk to former investment banker turned freedom-based entrepreneur Monika Zampa, who I've known for a few years, and she always had this dream of world schooling her child. And so she's just back, having accomplished this dream, which is very dear to her heart. And she made this happen after 50. So I'm very curious to knowing, what was it like? What were your insights? How did you make it happen? For if there are any other mothers over 50 out there who do have a younger child and who are thinking, oh, I'd love to do that, but I'm too old or whatsoever. So Monika, welcome. Before we get into the what, the why, and the how, I'd like you, if you could just introduce yourself in your own words, who you are and what you do and why you do it, before we get into the topic.
Thank you for inviting me on this show. Okay, I'm a multi-passionate woman. I had this dream for many years because I grew up in Eastern Europe and we couldn't travel. And I always wanted to travel. My dream was to go to Amazons. And when I had the daughter, I thought, okay, I'm going to take her from school and we're going to travel together. I structured my life, I'll talk about it a bit later, so I could travel, have income online. And it didn't happen. I was afraid.
Yeah.
Something happened in my life recently, last year, which made me to say, yes, I'm going to do it. I've been living in Holland for 22 years. Previously, I was investment banker in London. I speak 7 languages, always learning, always passionate about nature, health, higher vibration, energy. And it was my highest privilege to take my daughter on this trip and show her that life is amazing and there's so much positivity and you learn outside the school, because I don't believe in school system. It's my belief, because it's highly outdated and not all
True.
the information is real. So I wanted to show her how cultures are and how people are really nice. And it was amazing.
So let's set the scene. You're over 50. You don't need to say your exact age, but you are over 50, right? And you have
55 in October.
55 in October. And Malika is?
13. She turned.
So, as you said, you do lots of things. You've moved from corporate into entrepreneurship, and in there, I remember well, I mean, I know you helped me very much with something that I was struggling with as well. It was, I don't know what you called it, healing in some sort of way you were doing,
Yeah,
right?
I was doing energetic healing to unlock conscious blockages because you
Yeah.
cannot really go into it yourself. So I created a safe space for the client to go there, and I held the space for the person to heal, and that's very precious.
So I met you at a Global Woman networking thing, and I remember you had the water with you there.
Mhm.
But anyway, we did become friends, and then you helped me, and I was absolutely bowled away by what came out because it was not at all what I was expecting. Then I joined you in the water industry as well. So you've had very many different streams of income, let's say, but all about wellness, all about health, all about also the vibrations and all that. But in the background of all of that was this homeschooling dream, which I guess is not so easy. You are divorced, so I guess your ex-husband has also a right to decide what happens with his daughter. How did you actually make it happen, let alone the finance? We'll go into the finance in a minute, but
Yeah.
how did you actually pull it off? Can anybody just pick up with their child and decide to go somewhere?
I have many notes here. One of them, let me just read it because
Yeah.
it's actually, I was think many women are dreaming about something like that,
Yes.
and they are in their corporate or in their jobs, they have families, but deep down, that kind of child's dream is still there. They want to explore the world, and they are burdened by responsibilities, by the daily chores. They don't know how to start. And that was me. I was searching Facebook groups for information and maybe slightly ADHD. I don't know. I got overwhelmed with that. So I didn't know how to start. I didn't have the first line. When you start knitting, you need the beginning. And I didn't have the thread. I didn't know what's the next step. I was going from everywhere. And so the biggest thing was actually when I started to learn feminine communication and I learned how to express my needs to my ex-partner. That's the first thing which I started because I shared openly and really vulnerably that my dream is to take my child out. And I cried in front of him, which I never do. And he said, okay, if you want to do it, I'll give you the permission.
So it's almost your vulnerability which got him on board, that he
Yes,
realized how
I
important this was.
and I said, and then that was before my mother passed. It was before, it was September. I was in Amsterdam and I shared that in a public space, crying, and he was touched. And he said, if you do everything, it's your goal. If you finance it and arrange it and you take care of our daughter, you can go. And I thought, okay, I've been
Yeah,
waiting for years for this.
yeah.
And then that's the first step. What really, before we go into practical things, I just wanted to say that lots of women are planning and over planning, and they spend years in
Waiting to be ready.
arranging and waiting for the perfect moment. They try different hubs, world schooling hubs, like communities where kids can play. They research places, they research flights, they research
Mm,
money, and nothing really moves the needle. So the second step very often is that there is the sand in the line moment. No,
mm.
line, yeah.
Line in the sand.
But actually, basically, it's a moment when you're so desperate, something happens in your
Mm,
life that cracks it, that breaks the needle into
yeah.
two. And very often, I would say 100% out of 100%, it's something very negative, where
Mm,
you either have burnout. My mom died on 18th of
mm.
May, and when I was next to her deathbed, and I wrote on a piece of paper, my mom, this year I'm going to go world schooling. And that was a promise I made to her, and I couldn't break it. And I thought,
Yes. Oh, I get goosebumps just at the
I have
idea.
to do
Yeah.
it. And I have to do it. That is the second step where you have to, no matter what, no matter how unprepared you are, you say to yourself and to people around you, you need to spread
Yes.
it.
Yes.
We are doing it. You can't just keep it to yourself. You
Yeah.
have to.
Because they hold you accountable,
I
like,
posted it on
yeah.
social media. I'm
Mhm.
going, people, I'm leaving, I'm going. So that's the second step. You need to tell people that you're going and they hold you accountable. So I can read this.
Yes,
So
yes.
I found a tutor. I found a lady, I can't say is her name, and she specializes for years, 25 years plus, experience how to help Dutch families to
Right.
take children out of the system, allow them to homeschool, world school, either permanent or temporary, and she's an expert. So I have a contact if anyone is listening and they are
Are
having a
based in
difficult
there.
with kids in a schooling system, she can help you. And she held my hand and we went through it. And because of her, I felt more confident. We went to Leerplicht Amsterdam, all the
Yeah,
steps.
because it's very regulated. For those who are not in the Netherlands, it's very regulated.
Oh,
I guess
sorry,
in most
yes.
countries, you can't take a child out of school even for a day. It's very regulated of what you have to have a reason for it. You need to apply for it. Yeah,
Yes,
because of
and
course they have education at heart, and she is 13. So of course, you went for how long, Monica, by the
six
way?
months.
6 months. So the child does need to then be able to reintegrate the system when they come back, right?
Yeah, and maybe it's another episode about this because actually it's much easier. Depends what your child is. If your child is bright, smart, intelligent, streetwise, they can just go in. But if you have a child who has
Mm.
difficulties learning, then the integration is different. So that's
Yeah, of
another
course, of
topic.
course. Yeah.
But you're right, homeschooling is not allowed in Holland, slightly illegal, but there is always a loop. And I
Yeah.
found the loop because I was determined to do it. So I spoke to school, I got the agreement, I could go. I rented this apartment. I live in Amsterdam, in the middle of Amsterdam. I rented the apartment. I started clearing all the stuff, which was brilliant. I've been here for 20 years and I realized I don't need it. We were clearing a lot,
Which in
so much,
itself is very therapeutic. So
very
letting go
therapeutic.
of the old, leaving room to breathe,
Yes,
to grow. Yeah.
yes. So that, and I gathered the funds, the income. I suddenly I had more money than I could have ever imagined. Everything fell into place, and I wanted to stress this to women who actually want to do that. I didn't budget. I said, I want to go and I want to travel in style and comfort. I'm 50 plus. I'm no longer going to stay in a hostels or hard beds. I want to be in 4, 5-star hotels, super comfortable, and because I deserve it. So I had a plenty of money. Something came from my mom, from my sister, from renting the apartment, from my online business.
Yeah, let's just mention just for one thing, because of course people looking at you are probably thinking, oh, look at her, all beautiful and glamorous and investment banker, she's probably got loads of money. That was not the case, right?
No, thank you so much for sharing it. So I came from a family that has a strong scarcity and limiting mindset about money.
Yeah.
And that money worry has been with me forever since I know I structured my life about lack of money. And when I started my online business, I went into very deep personal transformation where I switched that into abundance mindset. And it doesn't
Right.
happen overnight. So money worry has always been with me like a shadow.
Yeah. But you've also always chosen, since you left corporate, which is a long time ago now, you've chosen that freedom and entrepreneurship, even if you don't have the financial security you would have had if you'd stayed in corporate
Yes.
finance, is more important to you. You
Yes.
weren't prepared. And I know you went through months where things were really tough and you were managing left and center to have enough money for you and your daughter. And that I do want to stress here because if you could do it, we can do it. Whoever wants to do it, right?
Thank you for pointing this out, Julie. There were months when not many people know, but I had no money to feed my child.
Yeah.
There were days like that, and she doesn't know it. I had to be creative and I had to put it, I feel
Yeah.
really
Make her feel
emotional about
safe.
that
Yeah.
because there are lots of very successful entrepreneurial women, high achieving women, where they do, in certain points of their life, they find themselves on their knees.
Yeah.
They find themselves scammed or ex-partner takes money, and we find ourselves in this kind of pit hole. And I climbed out, and I think it's nothing to be embarrassed. I felt embarrassed about it, but it's not because we all
Thank you for
through it.
sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable in that. And I believe this is what I love about women like you sharing on the show, because I'm sure there are people listening to this who think, oh gosh, it's okay.
It,
I'm not a failure. There's not something wrong with me. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And we just
yeah,
pick ourselves up and think, okay, what can we change and move on? Okay,
yeah.
this is all assuming, of course, Malika was eager to go to the
She,
program.
so basically, she said, I'll go because it's your dream.
Oh,
I
oh,
said, we are going. And she didn't resist. She loves me dearly. We have an
yeah.
amazing team spirit together. And she said to me after we came back, I said to her, Mali, so how did you feel? Her English has improved
Oh,
tremendously.
yeah.
So she said, how did you feel when we were leaving? What did you feel about this trip? And she said, Mama, in English, it was unpredictable.
Oh,
She
wow.
used this word,
Wow. Yeah.
unpredictable. She didn't have any knowledge how it would be, and nor
Yeah.
did I.
Yeah, yeah, you have to take the leap, right? You have to believe
Yes.
in something, you have to believe in your ability to make it work. And for Malika, it's normal. She's 13. You don't really know what's going to happen. You don't really know what's going to be out there. So it's scary, but also super exciting. I can imagine her friends were like, wow, this is cool. Going off with your mum. Because which countries were you in, Monica?
So just want to say, her kids, her friends in Amsterdam, they have no idea what it is, so
Yeah,
they
yeah,
cannot relate.
right.
Only the children who are world schooling, we have met in Thailand, Vietnam, mainly Thailand and Vietnam. We loved Vietnam. That was amazing. We met incredible people, families like with 4 kids, single moms. I haven't met any single dad, by the way. Single
Okay.
moms. I was always the oldest one.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Because how old were you when you had Malika then? 40 something.
41.
41, yeah.
There were women who were later late mothers, like I don't like that term, but I know 40 plus mothers for sure. But lots of families,
Oh,
some
yeah.
single moms, younger kids, also teenagers and preteens, mostly America and New Zealand and Australia. Some European people. Mali is my daughter. She made so many friends. And what was beautiful, I remember the day she would just, in the morning, all the group of teenagers would knock on our door, say, let's go jogging. They would go jogging. Then on the way back, they would go and get a fresh juice made out
Oh,
of all the juices there, which cost €1, by the
yeah.
way. Then they would come back, have breakfast, swim, maybe learn something. And there was just lots of boys, and she just
Oh,
learned how to interact with kids
yeah,
of
it's
all
life
different ages.
changing. It's really life changing. From your point of view, how did you experience it? You're responsible for this girl. You're alone out there, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I had main points I want to talk about. One was about planning, And then also that you are supported on your
Yeah.
journey more than you think, because I felt that my biggest fear is, oh my God, I'm all alone. How can I do it all alone? And you meet people who, once you step into this unknown, universe will literally help you out. And you meet people who will support you. We met families who suddenly we were with them for 3 weeks in a different
Oh, yeah.
city, sharing a
Yeah.
house, cooking and traveling. The biggest thing, apart from trusting and opening yourself to different opportunities and different people, like always saying yes, is your two things I would like to really stress: intuition and
Mm.
energetics. So I've another vulnerable thing. I often felt not alone and not lonely. I don't know the right word. And not even like I don't fit in. There were amazing families, but my energetic level and my frequency, I just didn't resonate with certain people. With lots of people I did, but with certain, and I always
Yeah,
found
fair
one or
enough,
two
right?
people to connect. So it
Mm.
could have been a huge group, let's say 50 people, and I would connect with just one or two. And the rest of the time, and we made huge, beautiful friendships. And the rest of the time, it's so important to really work on your energetics, which I mean,
Yeah, explain what energetics is. Not
yes.
everybody. Intuition, I guess most people get, but energetics, what does that mean to you?
My computer is dying. I don't know if you see.
No?
Oh, it's good. Energetics mean that you work on your happiness first, not your child. You are the one who is the pivotal pillar in the whole
Yeah.
trip. You're the
Yeah.
mother, the father, the organizer, the cook, the
The
nurse,
nurse.
the teacher, the entertainer. Everything is on you.
True.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your happiness and your inner peace, your nervous system is priority. So waking up and putting yourself first, instead of rushing and making breakfast for your child, you go and drink your amazing water with lemon and salt. Journal
Mm.
if you want. If you don't want to journal, listen to music. If you don't want to listen to music, do some stretching. Go outside. My daughter sleeps till 10. I would go to the beach
Mm.
and walk alone and empty my
Yeah.
head,
Find yourself in a way, right? It's really
find
reconnect with
myself,
yourself.
be with yourself, be comfortable in silence. And in
Mm.
silence, you find the answers, because when we start rushing in the Western world, all the answers are within us, but we are afraid to be alone
Right.
in silence.
Yeah, that's exactly now the new vibe of my of what I do. It is helping people find that silence even in a busy world.
Oh, nice.
So it's very much in line. I very much believe that. I think that's also the wisdom that comes with the years we've done. We've been very busy bees, but then you realize that the being is the center of everything.
Yeah.
And in order to be, we need to create. Our world is so busy nowadays. You can't wait for the moment when it's going to go quiet. You have to take
Yeah.
responsibility. And that's what you were doing with this energetic side, like taking time alone, being in nature, listening, reconnecting to yourself. How am I feeling today? What do I need?
And exercise. I
Yeah,
have worked on my body, on my human vessel. Exercise. Women
yeah,
50 plus, we lose muscle mass, like our
yeah,
muscles, like that.
yeah.
And I also created a free assessment because I was waking up at night, going to a bathroom, and I couldn't sleep. So I started doing a research, and
Oh,
it's
thanks.
about cortisol level, stress
Yes.
level, insulin resistance, all the hormones. And there's a kind of magical combination where we can reverse that even 50 plus.
Yeah.
We can set our health into the right place.
Yeah. Without our health, we're nothing, right?
Mm,
Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left, so we need to, okay, first of all, maybe touch on the finance, because okay, there's the having the guts to do it, there's how, then there's the practical side and all that, but of course, finance is a big part
yes.
of it, and you didn't come from money. Okay, you got something from your mum that helped, but how did you finance this? This was through your online business, right?
Yes. So I started this online business 7 years ago with the idea that one day I'll go and do
This is the
worldschooling.
water business we're
This
talking
is
about,
the
by the way,
it's
that I'm
actually,
involved.
you call it the water business. I call it more like it's a very streamlined digital online business. You can do it online and offline, and it centers around wellness and health products. There are 5 products. And I traveled with the water ionizer. I traveled with the little box, which I have here, to protect me from EMF, electromagnetic radiation. Lots of kids are super sensitive because
Yeah, yeah,
our brain is sensitive, but a kid's brain is like a sponge.
yeah,
Anyone who has teenager glued on the phone needs to have this machine.
yeah.
And
I agree.
so
I have one too.
yes. So it's a wellness and it's like a wellness fortifier. These products are absolutely essential. You may want to do the business or you just want to buy it for yourself and your family. And what I loved about it, that I didn't have to spend hours in front of the
Mm.
computer like my American friends and New Zealand friends who had to be in the meetings in the middle of the
Oh
night.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
just used my phone. That was my business because everything is digital and everything is automated.
It's a freedom lifestyle. It's a freedom earning
Yeah,
in a force for good water business. So that's basically how you financed it.
yes. And I'm now running a masterclass, particularly for women who want to exit the corporate and they have this
Oh,
free. So I'm doing that as a talk. I'm going to be explaining how it
just
is.
put the link in the show notes as well if people are interested in the income online business. But to come back to what would you say were your main takeaways? So you did it for 6 months. Let's not start about how was it to come back, because I imagine that could also be after you've known this freedom and this different vibe of people, even if you don't interact with all of them. I guess that's also, that how aligned you are, that, some
Yeah, yeah.
you choose who you don't prostitute yourself in social groups in order to be everybody's best friend. That's
That's
also,
exactly what we don't do anymore as 50
yeah,
plus. We are
yeah.
comfortable in our own skin.
Yeah, exactly. And that comes from, as you said, tuning into yourself, taking time to think, how am I? What does my body need? And that is also the health. I was doing a yoga class this morning where they were saying you can spend a lot of time and energy making your house all beautiful. You go on holiday or you go away to work, etc. The only thing we take with us the whole time is our mind and our body.
Yeah.
That's where our main investment should be going, right? Because that's what we need to take through with us. But I think the tips you've already shared in a way,
I
haven't
will
you?
quickly run through them,
Yeah.
right? So I have 3 tips for women 50 plus who are dreaming about world schooling or freedom lifestyle. So one, upgrade your health before you go.
Oh, that's yeah.
Reggie is everything. So start working on your health before you go. Start implementing exercise, walks, time for yourself, vitamins, molecular hydrogen, water, EMF protection before you go so it
Yeah.
becomes part of your life. Number 2, ask for help. If you've been wanting to do this, you don't have to do it alone. I've done it. You can ask me. I have contacts in Vietnam and Thailand. And 3, start working on creating income online. So you can take the finance with you. So you can
Yeah.
create money while you travel and it's in alignment with who you are. So you hustle
Right.
free.
That makes just so much sense because otherwise it's even more scary because you don't know if you're going to come back to a job afterwards, as in your business is growing as you grow abroad, right?
So you grow energetically, exponentially, like you would never grow in your own city. That's out of the question. So you cannot dispute that. You grow, you come back as a different person. So you
Yeah.
cannot go back to your original job because you're no longer the same person. You
Yeah.
outgrow your job. But if you have an online business which is based on you and you're energetic and you're growing health wise, you can just go up.
Yeah. Okay, Monica, thank you so much for this. So, from your point of view, we put in how people can get hold of you. So, how you can help them with details and information on your journey and people you met. You can help them if they're looking for an online freedom business with information about the health, water, and wellness, let's say, business that
How
all
to
goes
create,
part of.
yes, exactly.
And then you can also help them if they're just interested in boosting their and their family's health with these different products. And so all of that's now under the business that you run, right?
Yes, I don't have a website anymore. I only have a Facebook, Monika Zampa, and I have a new business Instagram account called Monika Slow Living. I just started very brand new. You can just reach out in either of these accounts. I have also a free assessment for women who feel like something is wrong. I'm waking up 2 or 3 times at night. My hormones are all over the place. There's an assessment with free eating plan for 7 days to reboost it. So there's lots of
Oh, I'm
information.
interested in that. I'll look into that. I'm feeling a bit sluggish at the moment. And do you still help with energetics?
I help women with energetics who join my business because I would be open if someone wants to, if someone is close to I opened on LinkedIn helping companies to prevent burnout from high
Mm,
achieving women,
right.
women who are in a high positions and they're close to burnout. So I'm talking about preventing burnout, how to do it, and the water, energetics, the dreams of women to travel. That's part of the whole
Yeah,
package.
yeah. It's really, we can make it happen. And that's why I'm so grateful to have you here because you've done it, right? And it wasn't easy. You were so determined to make this happen that you did it. And that's what I like because that's real life, right? You've got real
Yes.
advice to give, real experience. Welcome back, I would say, Monica, and a big hug to Malika.
Thank you so
And well
much.
done. I would say this is the sort of thing, as you say, so many people dream of. And at least that's one